All right, this is Mike Rabble with Rabble Rouser Media, trying to bring you the 411 on what's going on in the world, the United States, and Northwest Indiana. All right, we have a lot to unpack this weekend, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get right to it. All right, don't want to take up too much of your time. All right, so let's see. As of right now, oh, where'd I go? All right, so on Friday, the Supreme Court went ahead and let out their decision as far as Roe v. Wade. All right. And of course, that has sparked nationwide protests and all sorts of Twitter and Facebook arguments as well. I have seen no end to the posts of people bickering back and forth in circular arguments as far as what they think is what they think has happened. And I see some people have it right, some people got it wrong, and I think it's really just going to take time for everything to settle, for everybody to really get a grip on what's happening. Because I've seen a lot of things out there like uh, the ectopic pregnancies. You know, something that is life threatening for a woman. Basically, it's when the egg starts developing outside of the uterus, usually in the fallopian tube, which if it's left to to keep growing, if it's left to keep growing, that it will. There's a good possibility it's going to kill the mother. Now, things like that are not going to be illegal. And there's a lot of things that are still going to be legal. It's still going to be illegal in many states. And, you know, if you live in a state that is that where it is illegal or is going to be illegal soon because of trigger laws, or maybe that state leans Republican, that it might make them want to enact a bill that would make abortion illegal in that state. You know, you do still at this point in time still have options. You know, you can still go ahead and travel to another state to go ahead and get this done. And there's a lot of businesses and companies that are saying that they will support travel fare for these women that want to go out of state to have these abortions. Now, I think that there is some definite gray area when it comes to that kind of stuff. I, I personally, you know, just so we could stick it out there at the beginning of this post, I personally am pro-choice, and there is no doubt in my mind that you know my me being pro-choice, I am pro-choice up until the point of viability. I am biased in that fact because it's based off of my personal comfort level as far as you know as far as when I my personal disgust basically when it comes to abortions. I personally I would never want to get an abortion. You know, I've been married for the last uh, 14 years. So married for the last 14 years, and I'm very blessed to have been married for the last 14 years. And my wife and I waited 2 years after we were married to have children, and we discussed each child before we decided to make that decision. I know that my situation isn't always everybody else's situation. I'm not trying to pass judgment on anybody for doing what they feel is right. I'm just telling you what my personal beliefs are, so that way you understand my biases where they come in. Now, I can see abortions up till I can see abortions up until viability, unless it's for the life of the mother. You know that's just my personal line. I personally can't get my head wrapped around late term abortion to where our partial birth abortions. When I think of stuff like that and look at the states that allow that or have zero restrictions on abortions, it almost makes me think like if you have people that are so willing to go that far, you know, maybe it is better that it's completely illegal. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I have all the answers. I think that as a society and as a republic, that we need to be open to hear each other's conversations, each other's thoughts, each other's opinions when it comes to this kind of stuff, so that way we can try to, try to reach a consensus when it comes to a lot of this kind of stuff. So there are, well, we'll just go ahead and move on to what's going in the news, and we'll kind of get back to that. So after Roe v. Wade was overturned, you have protests that are sparking all over the United States, as far as people who are uh, pro-abortion and anti-abortion. You can see here where you have LAPDs under fire for some violent reactions to actress as a protest span U.S. All right, so you have clashes with the police. You have clashes with between pro-life and pro-choice groups, and I don't really see it calming down anytime in the near future. I would just like to stress the fact that you know now more than ever, elections in your local area are more important, because what this really did was, and I'm pretty sure I said in the last video, that what this really did was kick abortion back to the states. All right, so that way the states can choose for themselves. You know, I do believe that our government was designed that way as a republic, that states are supposed to have a certain amount of rights, and that states should be left to govern themselves. So in the coming future, and this is what we should be doing anyway. We should be paying attention to our local elections. So if you want to affect the change in your area, and the things that affect you, that's what you need to be doing. You need to be listening to your local politicians. You need to be paying attention to what affects you. And if something really matters to you, whether you're, pro life or pro choice, speak out, get involved. I mean, that's about the only thing we really can do. All right. With the reactions around the United States with protests, we also have groups like Jane's Revenge. Jane's Revenge is, from what Wikipedia says, Jane's Revenge is an American militant extremist pro-abortion rights group which has claimed responsibility for several acts of firebombing, vandalism, arson, targeting crisis pregnancy centers. That's all right. So it was formed in May 2022. All right. So we have these different groups that are popping up, and probably groups that have already been here on both the, pro-choice and pro-life sides, that are probably going to be popping up to basically they're going to be going after these other groups. All right. This is not healthy for our nation. All right. This is something that I can see causing a very deep divide in the United States. And just like we can see on Facebook, Twitter, and all these other tech platforms, True Social, Rumble, whatever, YouTube, just like we see on all these other different platforms, we can see. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put my head down so you can see what's going on behind me. All right. So like this is Jane's Revenge right here. So, but anyway, we have all these groups forming, and it's not really good for our country, because we're reverting back to a more, we're being more tribalist. All right. That's not good for our country. When people start retreating into their own little groups, for support, and we can't reach across the aisle to make some sort of agreement, that's definitely not good for our country. All right. Now, I see a lot of people who are, I see a lot of people who are just coming out of this haze. I see a lot of people who are just coming out of this haze, and they're wondering like, man, why does it feel like all of a sudden we're at war with each other. I've seen more than one post, and uh, I've had more than one person express it to me. Like, how come all of a sudden, you know, it seems like that we're just at war with each other? Everybody has their thing that will get them involved, that matters to them. All right. Everybody has an issue or a set of issues that's going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck's going on? All right. And I think that it's just more of that. You have people that, are working 9 to 5 jobs, working their, doing the daily grind, who really don't have time to sit down and listen to all this BS on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the mainstream media, until something like this happens that gets their attention. And then you see the barrage of inputs that are relatively uninformed about the subject by people who have opinions but don't necessarily understand the issue or understand what's going on. All right. That's basically what it is, in my opinion. All right. Another thing that we have going on in the United States, which, maybe most of Americans are relatively ignorant of, is that, you know, I'm not talking about Alex Jones here, but maybe he was right in a sense. We have somewhat of an information war going on, and it's going on from both sides of the aisles, where you have, um, I can see that maybe it's more on one side than the other, because you have some of the mainstream media that is more uh, Democrat based, and they have been putting out certain things that have been brought to light by Project Veritas, and some other things that have been fact checked by people in the middle, and maybe like the middle right, when it comes to politics. All right, so there's a lot of misinformation that's going on the uh, the left side of the aisle, and it doesn't look good. We are in an information age, and anybody that really wants to fact check something in real time, they can. The only thing is that if you're going to try to look at it, consume information, it wasn't like this maybe like 20 years ago, maybe not even 5 or 10 years ago. But now you almost have to, you have to, we need to understand how to consume information. All right. Does more than one post say it? Is it more than one news company? What, and then look at something on the left, what does this say? Okay, look at something from like CNN. I would consider CNN the left. All right, and then you look at something from Fox News and say, what do they say? And usually the truth is going to be something in the middle. All right, you should consume news from a variety of sources. If it's some just lone outlet that posts it, and it's like they're rather obscure or something like that, it might not be true, and you should double check that before you go on, whatever platform you want to go on and start on some sort of tangent, because chances are you're going to start, saying a bunch of stuff that you think might be true, or maybe it's partially true, but isn't the full story, that makes you look bad, because then you have somebody that kind of comes up and kind of gives you the whammy. Well, what about this and what about that? And those might be good arguments. We have to take that into consideration. All right, we can't just be, if somebody you can't just say, oh, that's just a Republican talking point. Yeah, or that's just a Democratic talking point, whichever. All right, if it is, address the point. You can't just dismiss it because you say that's a a Republican or a Democrat talking point, that's not a that's just mentally uh, what's the word I'm looking for? That's mentally lazy. That's a good way to put it. If you're gonna sit there and try to dismiss somebody's argument by saying left, right, talking point, I don't have to address this, then you know what? That's mentally lazy, and you're probably doing that because you can't. You have come across something that you can't refute. All right. And another thing that I think that kind of leads us into this, is censorship. All right. Some of you that like I said that are coming out and saying like, how come all of a sudden it seems like we're at war with each other? All right. This is a big part of the big techs, uh, oligarchs over in Silicon Valley, who are controlling the information. They allow just enough right wing information to come across your feed, but it's the right wing information that they feel is acceptable for you to see. All right, but they spoon feed it to you, so they can visually make you look on there and see like, oh, everybody agrees with me because I'm seeing all these posts and all these things that agree with the way that I think. Now, do people just agree with the way you think, or are you just not getting any pushback against your ideas because the tech companies are censoring people that are making that have these opinion, or you know or are yeah it happened on Twitter. There was a podcast, I want to say about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it had Jack Dorsey, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, and Jagati, uh, Jaya Gotti, I think her name is, from Twitter. And they admitted that they have a left leaning bias, but still can't see how the fact, because that they have a left leaning bias and that them censoring, the right wing, why it's causing all this trouble. When you have a platform and you're censoring one side over to the other, all right, that is not freedom of speech. Twitter used to be the free speech platform, and it has now become the authoritarian, think the way that I think and say whatever, we want you to say, or say what you want to say as long as it's, you're doing, as long as you think the right way or you think the right thoughts. I mean, that's not how freedom of speech is supposed to work. Freedom of speech isn't for speech that you like. It's for speech that you don't like. It's not for the ideas that. So they're sitting there saying that they have to censor this stuff because of it will hurt group XYZ's feelings, whatever. All right, but there's all these people on the right, and their groups, to where their feelings are, their feelings get shut down. There's a set of morals and values in America, and maybe like I'm talking like your more conservatives, your traditional conservatives, your more religious conservatives, are just conservatives in general, where they have opinions, and then you have the YouTube algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, or you have whatever algorithm that basically demonetizes, deranks, and basically tells them that their opinion is wrong. And that gives a false presentation to a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter that, oh, this is popular. This is what people want. This is cool, because they don't get any pushback from their ideas. They live in a bubble. All right. Now, because this borders on pop culture, politics, and stuff like that, I'm just going to say now, I am not here to try to tell you who to vote for. I'm just here to have some good conversations and see if we can actually, maybe change our minds on some things and try to actually make some progress in this world. Yeah, I can care less who you vote for, as long as you're willing to bring some good conversations to the table. Y- If you can bring up some good points, you know what? I am willing to change my mind. I am more than absolutely willing to change my mind. All right. But when it comes to like this bias on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and some of these platforms, you know, you look at some of these like these fact checkers, they're fact checking memes that are obviously meant to be satirical. You have the Babylon Bee who's getting banned for a joke. You have fact checkers that fact check their facts with stuff that they basically put out, their opinion. They're trying to masquerade their opinion as fact. All right. That's not good fact checking, and it damages these platforms. Mark Zuckerberg, if for some reason you listen to this, the fact that you do that and the fact that you ban one political group over another is bad and is causing a rift in this country. And it's not good. It's not good at all. That's part of the reason why, we have Elon Musk, and the fact that the board has is going to sell Twitter to Elon Musk. We still don't know where it's at in the process or if it's actually going to go through. I know a lot of it depends on the the bot count because I guess it's supposed to be under 5%, and they released the fire hose. I guess that's what they call it, the fire hose of information. The basically all the Twitter stream to him, so that way he has the ability with him and his personnel to analyze it. Uh, So whatever they find with that, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some back and forth, and I don't expect it to be done anytime soon. And if it is, I mean, hey, that's cool. Let's see here. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the churches that was graffitied in New York after the decision as far as Roe v. Wade. If abortion isn't safe, neither are you. That seems like a pretty big threat. Especially when you got these people that are firebombing churches and pro-life centers, and the this is not something that's good for our country. This is going to divide us further when we already have so many things that are uh, that are affecting this country in a negative way. It really just feels that we are a pot that's really getting ready to boil over. I really hate to say that because I love our country and I love what she stands for. But where we're at right now is definitely not a good place. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Oh, another thing. We got the Lightyear flop. All right. So the Buzz Lightyear movie. I guess there was like a controversial scene in there to where I guess there was a lesbian or gay couple that kiss or in the movie, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. You have it's stuff like this. You know, I think this directly comes from censorship. You have people in Silicon Valley who, you know, live their ex- extravagant $1 million lifestyles, drive their Ferrari and their Rolls Royces and their Porsches, and they have no idea how regular people live and work. And when they start censoring, you have these people that sit there and say, "Oh, this is what they want. This is popular. It's the time to, make a move on this kind of stuff. We can do this. We need to push this, agenda or whatever." All right, and everybody around them, Tells them, oh, yeah, yeah, do it, do it. This is so good. This is so progressive. All right. And we should be doing this because they don't get the pushback, because anybody that disagrees with them basically is shut down. All right. This is not going to be good for our country. The I talk to a lot of like I've talked to a lot of conservatives because I live in a rather conservative area, and I consume news on both sides. And the ever since Roe was passed, I want to say in 1973, all right, the Republican Party has basically been all about this. This has been their main mission, all right. And I remember them arguing. Well, I don't remember at the very beginning because I wasn't born in 1973, but judging from what people have told me, and as far as about conservatism and people who are pro-life who say that they believe that it's a life from conception, they believe that abortion was a slippery slope. That after abortion, you're going to see a degradation of society. That you're going to start seeing the morals and values of our society s- start to shift in a very radical direction. And at this, especially along with like gay marriage, they said the same thing. Now, when you had gay marriage and it was all about love for love, I am definitely for gay marriage. All right, I can care less if it doesn't affect me. I just don't necessarily want it shoved down my throat. All right, simple as that. It is it is something that, as far as the situations that we're dealing with now, as far as you got Buzz Lightyear, who is um, Buzz Lightyear, who's a flop because people are actually voting with their dollars. A lot of people don't want to see this, right? It goes against many Americans' belief systems, all right? Now, I'm not one of those people, but I can definitely understand the way they think and how they feel. I can empathize with them, all right? If you can't, if you don't know the person on the other side of the aisle's argument, and you can't state, why they feel a certain way, then there's a very bad disconnect there. And I think this is part of the reason why we're seeing a lot of this stuff. We have a lot of censorship that makes people believe that things are going a certain way when they're really not. It's only the fact that the people that are against this are being shut down, and then you have Disney that's producing flops, uh, because they think that this kind of stuff's going to sell, or maybe they just don't care. They want to. Maybe they say, "Well, let it flop. We're going to get out there. This is what we believe in, and we're going to do it." That's very well possible too. But when conservatives, for someone like myself who's in the middle, talking to conservatives and talking to, people who are libertarian, uh, I'm more like libertarian, and talking to people who are liberals. All right, the conservatives said that basically had called this, but from anything that I can see, that once they got gay marriage through, that then you're going to start seeing them go for other things, and we kind of do see that. We have people like Desmond is Amazing. We have child drag shows. We have the Florida law that the governor of Florida had to pass. This said the Parents' Rights and Education bill that the Governor DeSantis had to pass, and then you have people on the other side of the aisles rebranding it the Don't Say Gay bill. All right, nowhere in that bill did that bill say Don't Say Gay. All right, it still allowed those conversations. It just didn't allow those conversations conversations to happen unless a parent was involved with it. You know, you had to let the parent know first before you had those conversations. And I think that they restricted it from a certain age group up. So I think that that's part of the dishonesty that I see that makes me change my mind when you have people, and this is just me trying to put this information out there. If you have to rebrand something in a way where it's not accurate, you know, to try to get people that are relatively uninformed to vote your way, you're going to push people like myself who are in the middle away. That's why Elon Musk, you know, and other people like him, you know, feel that the left has gone way far to the left, which has basically made people like myself, you know, right wing, which before I was clearly in the center. You know, I'm pro drug legalization, especially marijuana legalization. I'm, you know, pro choice up to a certain point, you know, point of viability. I mean, and I'm a, you know, was in a union for many years. I should be a very solid Democrat. And the things that changed my mind were economic stuff and financial issues. You know, that's where I go to the right when when it comes to the economy, when it comes to having a budget. You know, we can't just have people have an irresponsible government. We have to have a responsible government that tries to pay its bills and run the country the way it's supposed to be run. And that's where I lean right. Financial stuff. All right. When it comes to some of the more stuff like more social stuff like gay marriage and you know and you know pro choice and abortion, I'm more on the left. I'm not on the far left because I can't see myself, you know, wanting child drag shows or wanting partial birth abortions. You know, that, yeah, I can't do that. But that's basically, in my opinion, where I feel like where the left has gone. Now, when it comes to politics, there's a lot of crossover with these politicians. And you can't sit there and look at one politician over the other, you know, and say, well, they're a Republican, so they're going to vote this way. Or they're a Democrat, and they're going to vote this way. You know, because there are Democrats who are pro gun, and there are Republicans that are pro choice. That's just the facts. All right. I'm sure they're out there. There might be unicorns when it comes to Republicans that might be pro choice, but I don't know enough Republicans or know enough about the political candidates to know if there are Republicans who are pro choice. But like I said earlier, it's like the conservatives kind of called this, you know, that you're going to see this kind of degradation of American society to where you see it going against the values of what America was traditionally. You know, and so we have things like the trans, you know, the trans kids and you know getting puberty blockers and stuff like that. And now we have the Navy where they want to put out well pronoun videos as far as how to as far as how to respect pronouns. And I'm sorry, it is not the Navy's job to be a social experiment. The Navy needs to be there to defend ourselves, and social stuff like this should not be forced down anybody's throat, including our men and women in the armed services. All right. I when they're taking this kind of stuff and making it mandatory for service members, they are making a lot of people mad, especially people like, you know, there's a lot of people in the center, you know, that are basically you're uninitiated your independents, and you that are going to be swinging over to the Republican side because of this kind of stuff, and that's why you do have a lot of people that are waking up and saying, "Why does it feel like we're suddenly at war with each other?" Because one day they stop from their grind and they see stuff like this, and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, what the heck is going on?" And maybe they're either uninformed or don't care, but this is basically what's happened. We've seen America being pulled so far to the left, be and it's mainly because of the censorship and the power that these tech companies have. So let's listen to this for like a few seconds, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what it's about.
Hi, my name is Johnny and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Kanchi, and I use she, her pronouns.
And we're here to talk about pronouns.
What is a pronoun? A pronoun is how we identify ourselves apart from our name, and it's also how people refer to us in conversations.
Using the right pronouns is a really simple way to affirm someone's identity. It is a signal of acceptance and respect.
If it's a signal of acceptance and respect, how do we go about creating a safe space for everybody?
That's a good question. A really good way to do that is to use inclusive language. Instead of saying something like,
All right, when you're in combat, where there are real no, there aren't any safe spaces, I don't think that you need to be worried about pronouns. All right, having this kind of stuff in the military, I think, is only going to further divide our men and women that are serving in the military. All right. Now, with everything that's going on, I see a lot of women out there, and I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I see a lot of women out there that are saying, I don't want to live under the Christian tyranny. You know, I'm sorry, I cannot, I am not extremely religious. My wife was raised Catholic. I converted to Catholicism a couple years ago, but I wouldn't exactly for family solidarity because I think that's important. But I wouldn't necessarily. I am religious. All right. I have my own thoughts and my own doubts when it comes to a lot of things. All right. And it is what it is. But I also see a lot of good things that have come out of Christianity. All right. There are many good things that have come out of Christianity, like when you do your wedding vows and the and consent. You know, you take so and so to be your lawfully wedded husband, and you take so and so to be your lawfully wedded wife. That has been around for. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been around, but I'm pretty sure it's been around for a long time. But that is generally where we get the idea of consent from the Western world, and that comes from the Bible. All right. You can say what you want to about the Bible. You can sit there and say it's the Word of God, it's infallible, or you can sit there and say, it's a bunch of myths, and that you know none of that stuff is real, and that was never meant, or even if it was just a primitive people's way of trying to explain the world around them. You know what? Maybe it's both. Maybe both are possible. All right. I don't know. I'm not here to tell you how to think. All right. But what I can say is that, what? There is wisdom in the Bible. All right. And there's some things in the Bible that, don't necessarily mesh with today's society. All right. But the Western world has come to a good point. And I'm telling you what, for the people that think you're living under tyranny and you're losing rights and stuff like that, you live in the United States, you are extremely fortunate. I have been out of this country. I served in the Marine Corps. And I tell you what, it is not, it's not just sunshine and rainbows. everywhere else like it is in the United States, where you have, all this free time and you can spend all day on Twitter arguing or Facebook, whatever. It's, in some places, life is downright tough, brutal, even. Like look at over here. You have in India, right over here, journalist Mohammed Zubair arrested for a 2018 Twitter post. And all right, and this was today. A journalist was arrested over a Twitter post. And why? Let's see here. Oh yeah. Police in New Delhi arrest the Muslim co-founder of a leading fact-checking website, accusing him of hurting religious sentiments of Hindus. All right? I think that I would rather live in any one of these Western civilization countries than any other place in the world. All right, you're not going to find any place better to live. It's not perfect, but by far it is absolutely the best place in the world you can possibly live, in the United States or in a Western civilized country. All right. So moving on, we had Biden. Let's see here. Biden signs bipartisan gun control bill into law. All right. So I think President Biden kind of did this kind of grumbling. All right. I think one of the things he was saying that the bill doesn't have everything that he wants in it, but it does have some things that he fought for in the past, and he is, he's comfortable with that. It was a bipartisan bill that passed 234 to 193 in the House of Representatives, and it passed 65 to 33 in the Senate with 15 Republicans, including Todd Young, Senator of Indiana, my home state, including Todd Young, who went ahead and signed this bill and went ahead and, Biden signed the bill, but the House and Senate approved it. So it was only with the Republican support that he is able to, able to get this bill passed. Quite frankly, I'm surprised. I'm not happy about it. I am a 2A advocate. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe that some of these things that are found in this bill are infringements on the rights of Americans. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, we already went over that. All right. So let's go over, this is CNN politics. All right. So what's in the bipartisan spending bill? Let's see here. $750 million to help states implement and run crisis intervention programs. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. This money can be used to implement and manage red flag programs, which are aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of those who pose a threat to themselves and others. It also can be used for other crisis intervention programs like mental health courts, drug courts, and veteran courts. Notice veteran courts on there. You have a lot of veterans that are coming home with PTSD and have issues that they're dealing with from their service in the military. And it almost seems like that this is going to be used to take guns away from veterans. All right. I don't see that ending good. Is veteran suicide something that we need to try to be better at when it comes to the mental health programs that we have for our veterans in the United States, which I'm a veteran. So, I mean, that's definitely something I want to see get better, but not just for myself. It's more for the people that need it, maybe more so than I do. All right. But language in that bill, is probably going to scare a lot of conservative Republicans that they might use these red flag laws to come after people like myself who are veterans. And somebody says, well, he was arguing on Facebook and he seems really agitated. Maybe we should go take his guns. I'm being hyperbolic when I say that. All right, just so you know, I don't think it's going to come down to that. But I can definitely see where this may cause some issues. And it's not like they ask you to come to court and then ask you to defend these allegations. It's more than likely that they're going to come take your guns and then you have to go and try to get them back. Which, if you don't have a lawyer and don't have this kind of, have the legal clout or money to pay for a good lawyer, then those rights might as well be just gone. Because unless you got money to fight it, then your guns are probably going to get taken away. All right. Closing the so-called boyfriend loophole. This legislation closes a years-old loophole in domestic violence that barred individuals who had been convicted of domestic violence crimes against spouses or partners with whom they shared children or cohabitated from having guns. Let's see here. The new bill would bar anyone who is convicted of a domestic violence crime against someone they have a continuing serious relationship of romantic or intimate nature, romantic or intimate nature. I can't talk today. With from having a gun, the provision isn't retroactive. All right, so that's a good thing. It's not retroactive. It's not going to go back to 10 years ago because of a Twitter post, like some of these people getting kicked off Twitter are being canceled for. I wish cancel culture wasn't retroactive. Yeah, that stuff definitely needs to stop. Requires more gun sellers to register as federally licensed firearm dealers. I think that's another one. I think it's going to be. I think this whole. I don't like this at all whatsoever. Don't like it. It's making a lot of people register as licensed firearm dealers that maybe necessarily aren't. Maybe they sell like a few here and there. I'm not exactly sure on what the. I guess it goes after individuals who sell guns as primary source of income, but either way, more thorough reviews of people ages 18 to 21. What kind of history does somebody 18 to 21 have? I don't see that doing anything. Chances are anything that a person 18 through 21 has done, chances are it has been done and it hasn't been recorded, or let's say they did have some stuff on the record. It's probably in their juvenile record. Let's say they had something when they were 17, that was violent. Then it's going to be on their juvenile record, which is sealed and can't be used against you once you turn 18. All right. So I don't necessarily see this law doing a darn thing. Creates new federal statute against gun trafficking and straw trafficking. The legislation makes it easier to go after those who are buying guns for individuals who are not allowed to purchase weapons on their own. I think it makes sense as far as, something to put in a gun bill. I just don't think it's going to do anything. It's already illegal for people to buy guns for people that shouldn't have guns. I mean, they already know this. What are you going to do? Make it more illegal? All right. Well, it makes it easier for them to go after them. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, what this bill does. But I don't think that that's going to do much of anything either. Let's see. Increased funding for mental health programs and school security. All right. That I can get behind. All right. I would rather, when it comes to drugs, alcohol, and when it comes to, you know, mental health, I'd rather, when it comes to drugs, I'd rather see people treated as opposed to put in prison. I bet we would see a decrease in the amount of, people living on the street and the amount of addicts and the amount of people that we have on the street with mental health issues if, we fund more of that kind of stuff. All right. I don't think that somebody should necessarily have their life ruined because of, they did drugs and they have an addiction problem. You know, I don't see that being it, it's I've had family members of mine who was a heroin addict for a number of years. I'm not going to say his name. I plan within the next year or so, I would like to make my own mini documentary. I have talked to him about this, and he has given me his consent to do so. As far as the things that he went through that I was involved with, and he said, you know what, whatever you think that you can do to keep people from going down my path, you do whatever. He's all for it. All right, I've already turned off all my stuff, and for some reason, I don't know if it's like a glitch or something. All right, there it is. My phone's off. All right. So he said he's all for it. So within the next year and a half, hopefully I can get the resources together so that way I can make this mini documentary about my brother who was addicted to heroin for many years, how he became addicted to heroin and how he went down that path and ended up there, and what it's been like trying to rebuild his life, and what are the consequences that he's dealing with long term for going down that path. All right, but that's going to be coming in the future. So I'm going to try to make it as entertaining as possible, but I really want to try to get that message out there. All right, we need to start treating people for this kind of stuff. We don't need to be locking them in prison. When you lock somebody with an addiction issue, or in prison, they probably haven't had any sort of you know actual connection with a real criminal element. Most people are your casual users who get busted, and then you throw them into prison or jail for like a first time offense, and all they do is learn stuff on the inside from these career criminals who know all the ins and outs, and they just get better at being a criminal. It's like these jails are just the Harvard University for criminals. They go there for street cred, and get like the names after their initials, or like a lawyer has his doctorate. Criminals go to prison for their to get their street cred and to learn new skills from other criminals. All right, it does more to make things worse. That's my opinion. I have evidence and facts to back that up. I'd be happy to do an episode on that, as far as how the war on drugs has been completely inept as far as doing anything for drugs. But for the people that sit there and say, well, will sit there and agree with me in one breath, and in the very next breath say we need to ban guns and this and that, you people are out of your mind. If you can sit there and say that we're going to sit there and be able to ban, or we have to make drugs illegal because it's impossible to stop, then you have to apply that same principle to guns, because you're not going to stop it. Unless you're able to go back in time and disinvent the firearm, that genie's already out of the bottle. It's just not going to happen. All right, let's see here. So something else I want to talk about. So it's like So here we have these major things that are going on in the United States as far as, you know, the ending of Roe v. Wade, and we also have this gun bill that has been signed by Biden. All right. I had a friend of mine said that, it's like I'd really like to hear more about, what's going on in Indiana, what's going on in my area. We're always getting uh you know drowned it out with what's going on in Chicago and other places. It's like I want to know what's going on in my area. All right. So this is relevant to what is going on with these stories. All right. You have, right now you have a midterm election. All right, that's coming up. All right, and right now you have Mayor Tom McDermott, who is the mayor of Hammond, and you have who is running against Senator Todd Young. Todd Young is the Republican incumbent. Um, Todd Young. So uh, I don't know as far as what chances uh, Mayor McDermott has as far as being able to kick Todd Young out of his Senate seat. Indiana has been a very strong Republican area for a long time. I think that many Democrats have proven that it's not, impossible. So I do not think that it's impossible for Tom McDermott to oust Todd Young out of his Senate seat, especially with what's going on in the news cycle right now. Everything that's going on in the news cycle right now, you know, basically, maybe it's enough to kind of distract from what the president has done with the economy, and as far as the gas prices and the supply chain shortages, and you know the multitude of things we're having to deal with now. We have uh, well, 58% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck after inflation spike, including 30% of those earning $250,000 and more. All right, we have many Americans struggling, paycheck to paycheck. And their cost of food is going up, their rent's going up, their gas is going up. All right, if you want to know go to shadowstats.com. Shadowstats.com. All right. And what that is it compares how they used to do inflation to how they do it now. Because I want to say sometime in the mid 80s or early 90s, they changed the way that they calculate inflation because they wanted to be able to fudge the numbers. It's actually much, much worse than the numbers that are coming out now because of the gas and fuel and all that stuff. It just depends on what's more important to the voters. You know, Tom McDermott is a very politically savvy opponent to Todd Young, and he's pro-choice. He's pro marijuana legalization. All right. I don't know if that's enough for him to be able to dethrone Todd Young, who is extremely well funded. But I don't know. Maybe well funded just means bought out. I don't know. Because you had Todd Young sign this bill here. He was one of the Republicans that went over to sign this bill into law, which, you know, this is one of my hot button issues. I don't, yeah, I will definitely consider Tom McDermott, and I'm an independent voter. I can either go Republican or Democrat or Libertarian. If there's a good candidate. All right, I'm not going to sit there and try to tell you who to vote for. That is your decision. I think that these are both good candidates, and I think that especially with Todd Young signing onto this bill, I think that that might piss enough Republicans off that they might actually vote for uh, a libertarian or a third party candidate, and just to spite him and give McDermott enough to go ahead and beat him. I don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely a strong possibility. Uh, Either way, I don't think it would really matter too much. I think I can, at this point, to me, Todd Young is just a Democrat light, at least with the Democratic candidate McDermott. I at least know what I'm kind of getting into. All right, I know that he's gonna vote for this kind of stuff, but it's already law. So I don't know what other harm he can actually do as far as that. But I know he's gonna push for marijuana legalization, which I think that's a good thing. So it's up to you as far as who you want to vote for. I did recently hear McDermott say that there is a war going on in the Republican Party between the, I guess, ultra MAGA or whatever parts of the Republican Party. And judging from what I'm hearing online and with the rhino slinging and the things going back and forth, I don't think that he's too far from correct on that one. So I would definitely say that he has a fighting chance as far as dethroning Todd Young, and he is known to be a fighter. And at the end of the day, if for some reason Todd Young is able to, save his seat by the seat of or by the skin of his teeth, then that just adds more money into the his opponent's uh, basically war chest for the next time he's going to run, and when he's trying to strategize and try to get things done. So that's not necessarily even if he does, uh, lose. It gives him some street cred, and it also definitely fills up his coffers a little bit, so that way he can, have a better shot next time. So I don't know. You vote for who you want to. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I think both candidates are good. Or, well, both candidates have an equal shot at winning. You know, maybe McDermott's going uphill a little bit because this is a definitely a Republican state, but with everybody mad at Todd Young, who knows? All right, I guess we'll find out. Let's see here. All right. Oh, so that's basically the recap from the weekend. All right, so that's basically everything that's been going on over the weekend as far as Roe v. Wade, the gun bill, and everything that's going on with pop culture and all that mess. Now we have this is kind of new. Well, not new, but the first update I've seen in a while. The Brittany Ginner appears in Russian courtroom, criminal trial date set. So I guess she was caught with marijuana over there in Russia. She was one of the WNBA's players who was she on WNBA? I don't follow sports all that much. I'm not a big fan of the WNBA star remained in custody. Yeah, I guess she has some marijuana on her, which I guess is a pretty heavy offense when it comes to Russia. She was one of the WNBA stars who were protesting the national anthem, who would kneel during the national anthem. I I can't get behind that. I can't get behind anybody kneeling for our national anthem. That's just I don't agree with the Colin Kaepernicks and uh, the people like of this young lady who want to protest and kneel for the national anthem. I fought for this country. She has her right to protest. I just wish that she wouldn't. I wish that with everything that's going on in our country, that I wish that we at least still had that one thing that brought us together. All right. We need things that are able to bring people from both sides of the aisles and from all spectrums of politics. You know, we need stuff like that to bring us together. And it seems that we don't even have that anymore, which makes me think that, you know, we're getting ever closer to an actual civil war. And who knows, maybe it might be something as far as Roe v. Wade or um, the speculation that they might go after gay rights. You know, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But until next time, I hope you have a good night, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye. Hey, if you don't like the comments that I made here, if you don't agree with what I say, you know, let me know in the comments below. You know, I read all the comments and I will respond to as many as I can, but let me know. I'm not married to any of these opinions. If you give me good evidence, I will change my opinions. You give me good evidence and I can't refute it. You know what? I'm more than happy to change my position. All right? But the best thing that we can do is grow together. And for us to do that, like, share, and subscribe to this channel so we can make that happen. All right? Have a good weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.